Good morning, everyone. My name is Andres Felipe Morales Neira, and today I'm going to present my research project entitled Exploring How Interactive and Digital Aids Support Speaking Practice at the A2 level from UNAD. This project was developed in the bachelor's degree in foreign language with an emphasis in English at Universidad Nacional Abierta Distancia, UNAD. The study focuses on how digital and interactive resource can support speaking practice, participation, and confidence in virtual English classes. Now we have the data sheet with the title, the type of paper, the research line eh, is qualitative action research in English language teaching, the author, my name, the advisor, my tutor, and the keywords. Now, the research context. We have the research context. This research was developed in the context of virtual English learning at UNAD. Nowadays, oral communication is very important in language learning, especially in virtual environments where students need to practice actively. However, many A2 students feel anxiety or insecurity when they have to speak English during virtual classes. During students' talking time activities, many students show low participation and limit spontaneous communication. Because of this situation, the study explores how digital tools and interactive activities may help students feel more confident and motivated when speaking English. Okay, let's continue with the statement of the problem. The main problem identified in this study is that many A2 students at UNAD experience fear and anxiety when speaking English in virtual classes. Students often hesitate to participate during speaking activities and sometimes avoid communication because they are afraid of making mistakes. Additionally, traditional activities do not always promote real communication or active participation. For this reason, there is a need to implement more dynamic and interactive strategies that encourage oral participation and confidence. This research focuses on how digital and interactive resources may support students during speaking activities in virtual learning environments. Now, we have the research question. The main research question of this study is how do visual and interactive digital resources influence the participation and confidence of A2 level students during student talking time activities in virtual English classes at Universidad Nacional Abierta y Distancia? These questions guide the entire research process and help define the objectives and methodology of the study. Now we have the objectives. The general objective of this study was to analyze how interactive digital resources influence participation and confidence during student talking time activities in virtual English classes. Additionally, the study included several specific objectives. First, to explore students' perceptions about speaking English. Second, to identify the obstacles in oral participation. Third, to analyze the impact of digital resources on speaking activities. And finally, to observe changes in participation and confidence during the intervention. Okay, let's continue with the theoretical framework. This research is mainly supported by socio-constructivism proposed by Lev Vygotsky. According to this theory, learning occurs through interaction and communication with others. In language learning, communication plays a fundamental role because students develop knowledge collaboratively through participation and interaction. The study also includes important concepts such as oral communication, students' participation, speaking confidence, digital scaffolding, and interactive learning. In addition, authors such as Burns, Schultz, and Beckhoff, and Huang and Liu support the importance of digital resources and communication in English learning. Now we have the literature, literature review. The literature review includes international, national, and local studies related to speaking skills and virtual learning. At the international level, studies showed that many students experience anxiety when speaking English in virtual environments. At the national level, researchers highlighted the positive impact of communicative activities and digital tools on participation and motivation. Finally, the local studies demonstrated that interactive resources help students feel more comfortable and engaged during speaking activities. The previous studies support the importance of creating dynamics and supportive virtual learning environments. Let's continue with the methodology. This study followed a qualitative approach because it focused on understanding students' experience and perceptions. The research also used an action research design. This means that the study identified a classroom problem, implement an intervention, observe the results, and reflect on the teaching process. The participants eh, were approximately 8 to 10 A2 students from virtual English classes at UNAD. The intervention was developed through Microsoft Teams using interactive digital resource. Okay, let's continue with the data collection instruments. Several instruments were used during the research process. First, classroom observations were used to analyze participation and interactions. Second, interviews and student comments helped understand students' feelings and perceptions. And third, reflective journals allowed the researcher to document classroom experiences and observations. The study also used digital tools such as a Canva, Kahoot, Genially, Wordwall, and Microsoft Teams to support speaking activities. Now, the ethical considerations. This study followed important ethical principles. Participation was voluntary, and students provide informed consent before participating. Uh, Confidentiality and anonymity were guaranteed during the research process, and additionally, all information collected was used only for academic purposes, and students' rights were respected at all times. Now, let's continue with the data analysis process. The data were analyzed through qualitative thematic analysis. Okay, first, the information was organized and reviewed carefully. The important ideas and experiences were coded. Okay, after that, the data were grouped into categories and themes related to participation, confidence, and interaction. Finally, the information was interpret to understand students' experiences during speaking activities. The study also used triangulation through observations, journals, and students' feedback. Okay, now the key findings. The key findings. The results of the study showed several positive changes. Students participate more actively during speaking activities supported by digital tools. They also showed greater confidence and less fear when speaking English. Additionally, digital resources increased students' motivation and engagement during virtual classes. Collaborative activities also encouraged more spontaneous communication and interaction among students. Overall, the findings suggest that digital and interactive resources positively support oral participation in virtual English learning environments. Now, let's continue with the thematic categories. The study identified three main thematic categories. The first category was digital scaffolding in language learning. The second category was student participation during student talking time activities. And the third category was speaking confidence and emotional support. Additionally, some emerging themes um, appeared during the analysis process, such as reduced anxiety, increased interaction, greater motivation, and more spontaneous participation. Now, let's continue with the results. The results demonstrated that interactive digital resources create more engaging and supportive learning environments, students participate more actively speaking activities. Sorry. The visual and interactive support reduced speaking anxiety and increased the confidence. And finally, students also showed a greater motivation during virtual classes. And finally, the furthermore, collaborative activities improved uh, communication and interaction among students. Now let's continue with the discussion. The findings of this study support a socio-constructivist theory because interaction plays an fundamental role in language learning. The results are also consistent with previous studies that highlight the importance of digital tools, interaction, and emotional support in English learning. Students students feel safer and more comfortable when activities include visual support and collaborative interaction. Overall, the discussion suggests that digital and interactive resources can positively influence participation, confidence, and engagement in virtual English classes. Now, let's continue with the conclusions. In conclusion, digital and interactive resources positively influenced students' oral participation and speaking confidence. Students became more willing to participate during student talking time activities and showed less anxiety when speaking English. The study also demonstrate that visual and interactive support can create more dynamic and supported virtual learning environments. Finally, a meaningful interaction played an important role in improving speaking practice and communication experiences. Now, implications, limitations, and future research. This study has important implications for English language teaching. Teachers should promote interactive speaking activities and integrate digital resources into virtual classes. However, the study also had some limitations, such as the small number of participants and the short intervention pe- period. And for future research, it would be valuable to work with larger populations, different English proficiency levels, and longer pedagogical interventions. Now we have the reference. Um, we have the reference. These are some of the main references that supported the development of this research project, including theoretical authors and previous studies related to speaking skills and virtual learning and action research. Um, Final recommendations. Eh, these are some final recommendation. Eh, these are some final recommendations. Um, and finally, eh, thank you very much for your attention. I hope this research contributes to understanding how digital and interactive resources can support speaking practice and confidence in virtual English learning environments. Eh, and no more, no more. Eh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your attention. And finish. Goodbye.